Let's see how the OAuth 2.0 flow will work and how can we use that username and the password flow in order to access the resource from one organization to another organization. So let me take a scenario and let me go by step-by-step approach to access the resource available inside a Salesforce account from another Salesforce account by using OAuth 2.0 with the username and the password. So before going to that, let me explain the flow one more time so that you can understand, and then we can able to go with the implementation steps. For example, I have the two organizations or the two applications or two systems, whatever. One is a provider or the server. Second one is the consumer or the client. Always, server or the provider is going to be keep on providing the resources. Provider is keep on providing the resources to the various consumers or the clients. It's like as a centralized server. It's like as a repository where exactly so many resources are available from where the clients can access the required resources. If it requires one resource, they can access. If they require multiple resources, they can access. So in this case, when coming to the provider, I'm having a provider. This is my provider. Assume that this is one Salesforce account that we have, this Salesforce organization. In this organization, I'm having a resource. That means I have built a resource or a web service which is used to get the case records information based on the case record ID. By passing the case record ID, I would like to get the case records information, because if I'm passing a case number or a case ID, so based on that ID, I would like to get the case details. Like I would like to get the case status, priority, origin, or it may be the subject of the case and the reason, type information, and then description. All this information I would like to fetch. Okay, all this information I would like to fetch. So in this case here, how can we fetch? Just by passing the case record ID, I would like to get the whole information of the case. For that one, when coming to the provider, provider has given some information. Provider has given a web service. Okay? Provider has given some web service. In this web service, it is expecting the case record ID. Whenever I'm passing the case record ID, based on the case ID, whatever the case record is available, this case record information will provide. It will provide the case record information to you based on the case ID. So for that one, so we are implementing one resource, nothing but we are implementing one resource, nothing but a web service. So which will be receiving the case record ID. Based on the case record ID, now this resource is going to be searching for the respective case, that entire case information it is returning to the consumer or the client. Now, so, but this particular web service is very, very confidential, okay, which is very, very restricted web service, so that other people can't access. So now to protect this one, they have used an authorization server, and then they have protected this particular resource with the help of OAuth 2.0 authentication. So OAuth 2.0 is nothing but an open authentication protocol, okay, which is providing some set of principles, some common standards, which has been agreed by all the organizations available in our IT industry. So which has been agreed by all the organizations available in our IT industry, so that here everybody can use this OAuth 2.0 to maintain the security or to prevent the unauthorized people's access. This OAuth is not only for Salesforce, but every application, for every technology, for Java also, backend also, mainframe also, anything we can use this OAuth. OAuth is a common open standard protocol. It's an open standard protocol which is providing some set of principles through which we can able to provide the access of our resources to the third party people. Our resources are not public resources. Our resources are not public resources. These are protected resources, nothing but completely restricted are the secured resources, which I don't want to make it exposed to all the people. Only the authorized people can able to access the resource. Other people can't access. So for that one, to protect these resources from the unauthorized people, we are going to protecting our resource with the help of introducing the authorization server, which can be accessible via the OAuth 2.0 protocol. So in this case, whenever if anybody wants to access my resource, directly they can't access my resource. Even though they are aware of my application path, even though they are aware of my application resource URL, they can't access directly. Okay, they can't access that directly. They have to do some authorization process. They have to come across some authorization process with the help of this authorization server. They should have a proper access token. Then only they can able to enter into my server. They can access the resource. So whenever if they want to show their identity, whenever they has to get authorized, then first of all, they have to connect to the authorization server by passing some input. That input also we are going to provide. Nothing but only the authorized members are available. Only the authenticated people are available. Okay, who wants to access my resources? I am providing some input. So as a provider is going to providing some set of resources to the client, so that the client can able to utilize the resources. They can able to access our data. So for that reason, at the client side, what needs to be done? So now we need to have a connected app. We have to create a connected app. And then once the connected app has been getting created, now the connected app is going to be providing a client ID that is also called as consumer key, and it is generating a client secret or consumer secret. And then we should have the username and the password. Okay, based on this username and the password and the client ID and the client secret, the third-party system or the consumer can able to contact and they can access the resource. So for that reason, the client requires all these four input values. The client requires all these four input values. It requires the client ID and the client secret, username, and the password. These are four input values are required okay, for that client, so that they can able to pass these values. Based on that, they will authorize, and then they will get an access token. Based on that access token, they can able to access the actual resource, which is available inside my site. So for that reason, so now here I am going to be creating a connected app, and through with the help of connected app, we are going to be generating the client ID, client secret, and then we would like to have a username and the password. And all this information I would like to pass to the consumer, so that the consumer can able to raise a request to the authorization server, and by passing these four values, based on these four values, they can send one request to the authorization server. Authorization server is having its own URL, okay, its own URL. To get the access token, we are using this particular URL. So in this case, authorization server will be available on this particular URL. So we have to make a request to this particular authorization server in the form of a post request by passing all these values. And based on that values, the authorization server is going to verify whether this client ID, client secret, username, and the password is correct or not. How it will verify? These details have been given by whom? The actual resource, nothing but server. So it will be connecting to the server. It will verify whatever the client ID, client secret, username, and the password is available, which have been sent by the client. Is it correct or not? It will validate this information. Once the data is valid, then only it is going to be generating one access token over here, and this access token it is going to passing to the client. Now the client is going to be accessing the actual resource with the help of this the access token. Now whenever the server is receiving this request along with the access token, first of all it will verify whether this particular access token is correct or not. Whatever the access token we have received, this access token is correct or not, the client server has to identify. For that one, what the server will do is, as soon as whenever the server is receiving the request, okay, along with the access token, server is going to be interacting with that authorization server. So this is the access token with which a person wants to access the resource. So please give me the confirmation whether this access token is a correct one or not. Is it active or not? Simply in one word, I can say this access token is nothing but your session ID. Okay, this is nothing but session ID. Simple concept. Okay, session ID. Whether this session ID is in active or not. Now, authorization server is going to be giving the confirmation back. Now this access token is correct. This is in active status. So please, okay, please go ahead to provide the service to you. Then only the server is going to be providing the actual resource data to you so that we can able to access it. This is the actual process we are following when coming to that, the username and the password flow as part of OAuth 2.0 authentication. Now, so now let's see here in this case how can we implement this. What are the steps we need to perform? But now let me explain. Now, first of all, what we need two Salesforce accounts. Okay, I need two Salesforce accounts. Now, first of all, I need two Salesforce accounts as a step one. Let me explain the steps also here itself. Step one. As a step one, we need two Salesforce accounts, two Salesforce.com organizations. Okay, two Salesforce.com organizations. Now, for example, let me take the two Salesforce accounts. Here I'm having so many Salesforce accounts are available. Let me take two Salesforce accounts. For example, training data batch 329 is one of the Salesforce account, which I would like to use as the source. So this is the source. Nothing but provider. So this is my source. So this is Salesforce account, okay, 329, okay, which is my provider here. Now, and then let me take one more Salesforce account. I'm using a different browser now. A Firefox browser. In order to log in into a different account, finding that batch, free the T at the rate some CIS.com. Let me provide the verification code. Now, so this is another Salesforce account which is training that batch to 330. I'm having two organizations are available right now. Training that batch 329, training that batch, okay, 330. Two Salesforce accounts are available. Now, so let me take this one. So let me give this complete steps inside your notepad so that you can be able to remember this. I will step down. We need two Salesforce.com organizations. I'm having the two Salesforce accounts. I'm using one provider, the server. The second one, consumer, the cloud. Provider is training that batch 329 at the rate CIS.com, and the consumer is training that batch 330 at the rate CIS.com. These are the two separate accounts. So let me explain the step by step. Steps are very, very important. If you know the step, then implementation is very simple. Nothing else. As a step. So what needs to be done here? Let me explain the diagram, and then through the diagram, let me explain this. Now I'm having two organizations. One is consumer, second one is provider. Both are. Now in this way, in this particular resource server, that means inside the server, we need to implement one web service. That means which service you are going to be exposing to the third party people. So we have to provide a web service first. Okay. Now as a step 2, create the web service. Okay. Create the web service to expose to the third party. To the third party system. Now, where inside the provider side? Okay, inside the provider side. So here I'm indicating clearly. On the provider side, create a web service. For example, I want to create a web service in order to get some case records information. In order to get some case records information, I would like to expose the web service. For example, I'm creating the web service like at the rate REST resource. I'm indicating the URL mapping / case manager service / start. I'm preparing a web service. Global class case service. I'm indicating HTTP. I'm preparing a method global static. I'm going to be indicating that I would like to get the case record information. Case, I want to return the complete case record information over here. The case get case record by ID. Get case record by ID. So now, whatever the case record ID they have supplied, based on that case record ID, I would like to get that case record information. So whatever the case record ID that was supplied, based on that case record ID, I would like to get the case information from my case object. So for that one, I am going to be writing some piece of code in order to get the case record. To get the case record details, I am going to be preparing the business logic inside this to get the case record. Now you can able to write the code. Write the code to get case details based on the ID. Now, in this case, I am using this map of string comma string map params equals to REST context dot request dot params. From that one, I am going to be collecting the case record ID, and then based on the case ID, I would like to return the case record. Now, I am indicating case record equals to I'm fetching the case record. Select ID of the case and the case status and the priority, and then type, reason, origin, subject, description, one case where IDN ID equals to I would like to get map params dot get of so whatever the parameters are available which we have supplied based on the case record ID, I am going to be collecting the case record and returning this case return the case. I am returning the case record. So this is my website. So as a step 2, inside your provider, we have to prepare the service which you are going to expose. Now, whenever you are exposing this particular service to the particular third party, how the third party people can able to access? In order to access the third-party people, we are going to be protecting our resource with the help of authorization server. As of now, what we have, I'm having a server. In this server, I'm having a web service. Okay, I'm having a web service. How you can able to access this web service here? What is the URL to access this web service? It is called as endpoint. So what is the URL for this web service? HTTPS. For example, it is some ap16.salesforce.com/services/apex/case manager service. Okay, case manager service. This is the endpoint URL. In order to access this particular web service, we have to use this particular URL. Okay. Next URL. So after that, what needs to be done? So now whenever we are exposing this particular web service to the third-party people, to the third-party organizations, so at that time, if third-party people wants to access this one, then directly they can't access. It's not an open web service, it's a restricted one, it's a secured one. So for that reason, they have to undergo with some authentication and the authorization mechanism. For that reason here, so now they need to get some access token, okay, from my authorization server. So that I need to provide some required resources to that client. So inside the provider side, we need to create a connector. Okay, now as a step 3, at the provider side. At the provider side, create a connected app. Create a connected app. So what is the navigation of creating the connected app? We have to go to that setup menu. Go to the building menu in the left panel. Create apps. Go to the connected apps section. Click on new button in order to create a new connected app. Okay, click on new button to create a connected app. Upon creating the connected app, you have to specify that various details here. Okay, various details. Like you can specify, enter the connected app name, description, enter the callback URL. This is also called as a redirect URL. Redirect URL. Enter the email ID. Enter the email ID. And then grant the permissions. Grant the permissions. It has full permissions you can grant. Select the full permissions. In order to grant the permissions on our resource to the third party people, grant the permissions over there. And then click on save button. Click on save. Now, the observation is it will create a connected app. It will create a connected app and it will generate the below tokens. First one is generating a client ID. It is also called as consumer key. Second one is the client secret. It is also called as consumer secret. And then as a step 4. So now whenever I'm creating a connected app is going to be generating the client ID and the client secret. We have to copy that client ID and the client secret, and then we have to go to the provider side again. Go to the provider. Create a user record. Okay. Create a user record by granting the required permissions inside the profile. Now here we need to collect that user information. The observation is we need the user ID, that means username. Second one, password. We need that username and the password. Username in the sense which is available in the email ID file. Email ID file. Now, as a step 5. So now here observe this one. These are all the resources we need to provide to that client. So inside the provider side, we are going to be creating the actual web service which you are going to expose, and then we are creating a connected app. Okay, and then we are going to be creating a user account. Now this whole information, nothing but this connected apps, client ID, client secret, username, and the password we need to pass to that client. Okay. Now the provider. Supply the required below resources to the consumer, the client. The first one is client ID, the consumer key. Second one is the client secret, consumer secret, username, and the password. So whatever the 4 values we have generated, client ID, client secret, username, and the password, these are 4 information we need to pass to the consumer. Now with this one, consumer part is over. So the provider part is over. Now as a step 6. Okay, as a step 6. Now the consumer side. Now the consumer side. Consumer has to receive these values. The consumer has to receive these values. Based on these values, it has to get the access to it. It has to get the access to it. Consumer should use the above provided resources to get authorized by the authorization server and get the access token. How can we get the access token? Okay, what is that access token? Okay, what is that authorization server URL? Now I'm giving this complete the documentation also inside this. Authorization server endpoint. Authorization server endpoint. So now let me provide that authorization server endpoint. OAuth .o authorization token endpoint. That's Salesforce. So for the OAuth endpoints, now in order to get the access token, there is a separate endpoint is on. Now, so this is the endpoint. We are having this endpoint. This is the endpoint. Here is the endpoint URL that we have. Here is the endpoint URL. Now, in this case, here what we should do. Consumer should provide the above provided resources to get the authorized by the authorization server and get access. How can we get? It has to make a request. Okay, it has to make a request. Now, as part of 6.1, make a HTTP request. HTTP request to authorization server to get the access token. How can we make this request right now? So here I'm giving the complete details to you. So what kind of request we need to make here? We have to send a post request to that. Okay, that I'm indicating the complete details. Endpoint URL. Endpoint URL. So this is the indefined URL that we have. And then we have to specify the method. Method will be of type for post. So what are the input parameters we need to supply? We need to supply. That means the method body or the set body here, which are request body. What are the parameters we need to supply? Now let me explain. Here we will be having the complete information. When you go to this URLs here, you can able to find out the information. OAuth2.o, OAuth2.o, username and the password first. We have to go through the documentation first. Here they are going to be clearly indicating each and every step by step. So here, request for an access token. Here, whenever we are going to passing the request for the access token, so we have to pass this value. Grant type equals to password. Now request body, it will be including like okay, grant type equals to password. And then we have to specify the client ID. Client ID equals to your client ID, whatever the client ID that you are receiving. Okay, from the provider. And then third parameter is client secret. Client secret. What are the client secret that you are receiving? And then after that, username. Username equals to, you can able to pass that username which are received from that server. Password. You can able to specify the password. So this is the request body here. Request method type is post request. We have to make a post request. Clearly they are indicating that such as following post. We have to post this whole information to the particular authorization server. Now authorization server is going to be validating this whole data by connecting. Authorization server is collecting this whole information. Based on that, it will connect to the respective provider. It will verify whether this client ID, client secret, username, password is valid or not. If it is valid, then it is going to generating an access code. It will generate an access code. Observation. Observation. It will validate the input values and will generate an access code. It will generate an access code. Now, 6.2. Get the response from the authorization server. Get the response from the authorization server and parse the response by using JSON parser class. And get the access token. Get the access token. One more point, let me explain clearly. Access token value will not be visible on the debug log file. To be frank. Okay. When you try to do this operation through that normal your system.debug statement, your access token value will not be visible to you on the debug log file because of security reasons. We can show this access token only on user first pages, not inside your system.debug statement. Even though when you try to print, it won't print that message. It won't print that message. We simply it will be giving that session ID removed. One message will be getting visible to you because it won't display that the access token inside your system.debug log file. It will be visible to you on the visual perspective. Now, so that when coming to the consumer has to make a request to that authorization server by passing all these parameters as an input, and then it is going to be collecting the response. So now in that response, you will be having that access token will be available, and then get that access token and then pass that access token. Nothing but pass that JSON, the content, and then we can able to get the response. In that one will be having access token will be available. Now with that access token, we have to make a request to that system. Nothing but to access that actual resource. Here we use the actual resource. Now as a seventh step. Step 7. Here is the consumer. Now, once the access token has been received, then make a HTTP call or HTTP request to access the actual resource from the server or provider. Okay. So in this case, what needs to be done as a 7.1? Now, in this one, what needs to be done? Now we need to prepare the request. To invoke the actual resource. Now here I'm indicating endpoint URL. So what is the endpoint URL over here for my resource? Here is the endpoint URL. Here is the resource which I would like to access. So now my resource endpoint URL is this is the URL. Here is the endpoint URL that we are having right now. Here is the endpoint URL. That's it. So now along with that we need to append that. Okay. Append the required input parameters. Along with the resource URL. And whenever we are adding this one, then make a HTTP call. HTTP request to invoke the actual resource. But whenever we are going to be indicating this one, we have to specify that. Okay, we have to pass the information. So now this is the actual resource which I would like to invoke. Whenever we are going to be invoking this resource, okay, whenever we are going to be invoking this resource here, what this resource will do, this resource is going to be providing the actual case record information. That means we are getting this. So what is this method type over here? This method is of type what? Get method. This is a get method. So the method type is get method. So we have to specify. The method is get. Okay, get. And align with it. So now we have to specify the authorization. For that one, we have to specify set a header. Okay. So here we have to specify the key. Key is what? Authorization. And then the value is we have to specify the OAuth. Okay. OAuth plus your access token. Whatever the access token that you are receiving, this access token we have to specify. And then make a request here. Now, whenever you are making the request here, you will be getting the response. Observations. Now, send the request to the resource server to accept. 7.2. Get the response from the resource server. That means provider. Get the response by using HTTP response class. And pass the content. By using JSON parser class. And then show the content at the video page. These are the 7 steps has to be get involved. Okay, these are the 7 steps has to be get involved first. Here's a step-by-step approach, okay, which we need to follow in order to, okay, implement the OAuth 2.0 username and the passwords. And then one more thing here, whenever we are going to be connecting to a third-party system, then the third-party system URL we have to add inside our remote section. It's a common step. It's a common step. So inside your consumer, we have to add the provider's URL inside your remote site settings. That is a mandatory principle. Inside the consumer. Here I'm indicating. Read. Add the provider's URL inside the remote site settings. And the provider's URL inside the remote site settings. So now in this case, these are the various steps are getting involved. Now let's see how can we implement each and every step. First of all, we need two organizations, and then first of all go to the provider side, create a web service, and then test it by using the workbench, and then create a connected app which will generate the client ID, client secret, and then have one user account here. Okay, have a user account, and then provide all these four inputs to the client. The client will use all these four input values. Based on that, it will make a request to the authorization server, and it will get the access token. Based on the access token, it is going to be invoking the actual resource. It will get the response back, and it is going to be parsing the data to represent the data inside that application variable. Now, so these are the steps are involved whenever we are going to be implementing the OAuth 2.0 username and the password. Now, so let me go with the practical steps one. Let me go with that step by step. Step one. So we need that two Salesforce organizations. So I'm having two Salesforce accounts available with me right now. This is one Salesforce account, which is the account 329. Let me verify. Users. Is a Salesforce account 329, training that batch 329. Okay. Now, here I would like to have inside that this is the provider. Okay, this is the provider. So what needs to be done as a step two inside the provider? I need to create a web service to expose, okay, to be exposed to the third-party system. I need to create a case manager service. I think already we have some web services available here. Already we have created. So let me go to that web service. Go to the developer console. Let me verify the web services, whatever we have. Classes. Case manager service. We are having this resource. Do we have any get? Yes, right. Here we are having it. It is providing some list of cases. But I want a service in order to get only one case information. Contact with our service. Okay. Let me go with the service here. Let me create the service inside. I am going to return in the case record information. Get case record by ID. Get case record by ID. So here I am going to be collecting the case information. So now here in this case, what needs to be done is I would like to use that map collection. Map of sync map params equals to just the context dot request dot params. Now based on that, I would like to collect the case record. Case record, I'm collecting the case number origin, status, type, reason, subject, and the description. From the case where ID equals to map params dot data, whatever the case record ID has been getting supplied based on the case ID, I am going to be collecting the case record. I am returning the case. This is my web service. Okay, this is my web service. Now, so let me test this web service first, okay, whether it is working properly or not. So this is my case service. For the testing purpose, I am going to the workbench. I would like to access the resource. Apex test, case service. I'm indicating AD equals to, I want to pass the case record. Let me take any one of the case record ID over here. I'm passing the case record ID. These are the case details are available. I'm collecting the case record ID. I'm passing it. Execute. Let's verify whether it is returning the case record or not. It is indicated. List has no rows. List has no rows to design. Let me verify. No. So now let me test this one. Click on execute. Now it is collecting the case record information. Because here I am passing the ID, exactly same parameter should be there inside this. If the case, because if the cases are mismatching, like as if I'm giving like some capital D, it won't fetch. It is comparing with the case sensitivity better in this case. So that when you try to execute now, okay, it will be giving that message Apex error. Because here I have given capital I small d, but here we have given that capital I capital D. So I'm indicating exact matching. Because it is a key. Keys are always unique. Keys are always unique inside your map collection. So now let me execute this one. We can able to collect the case information. I'm able to get the case details. So this is my case service. Now the service is ready. So now as a step 2, we have prepared a case service. Now, next one, as a step 3, inside the provider side, I need to create a connected app. How to create the connected app? Now let me go to this one, practical. So this is my case service here. Let me paste in service. So now here in this case, as a step 3, inside the provider side, we need to create a connector. I'm closing this. This is my provider. Now let's create a connector. How to create a connected app now? Let's go to that build a menu. Click on create apps. As of now, we have created some custom applications. Now, when you come down, you will be having an option called as connected apps section. Go to the connected apps section. Connected apps are nothing but the special applications which are used to invoke your RESTful web services through OAuth authentication. Now, so now click on new button to create a connected app. Now it is asking you to specify the connected app name. I'm providing the connected app name like as OAuth username password app. Okay, OAuth username password. Now the contact email ID. I'm indicating my email ID. I'm indicating my email. So these are all are optional. These are all are optional. Next. So now I'm indicating enable OAuth settings. To select the checkbox, enable OAuth settings. Now it is asking you to specify the callback URL. It is asking you to specify the callback URL. So now here I'm indicating the callback URL, HTTPS. I'm indicating ap16.salesforce.com/apex REST response page. REST response page. You can give any of that URL, nothing but you can specify that any of the Visual Force page name. It may be page name is not available, just you can give that one. In future, we can create if it requires. Basically, this callback URL we are not going to be using as part of the username and password. When you go to the web server authentication, it will be required. Now, so now here I'm indicating that callback URL and then grant the permission. Nothing but selected OAuth authentication scope. What is the permission you would like to do? I am granting that full access. Select that full access permission. Now click on save. Click on save. So now it is going to be creating a connected app. Click on continue. Now it will generate a client ID and then client secret. That means consumer key and the consumer secret. So this is the consumer key which has been generated by the connected app. This is the consumer key. And this is the client consumer secret. Consumer secret will not be visible directly, just to click on that, click to reveal. So it is indicating that the consumer secret. We are having that client ID and the client secret, which is also called as consumer key and the consumer secret. Now, so let me go with that, the client. Here I'm having that client ID. Client ID consumer client secret. Consumer secret. Let me place this values. Now this is the consumer key. This is the consumer secret. Consumer secret. We are having the client ID and then client secret, that means consumer key and the consumer secret. Next, I want two more parameters: username and the password. We need the username and the password of any one of these users. So now, in this case, I'm giving the administrator account's username password. We get the user. Okay, we get the user. And we get the username. I'm giving the password. This is the password. Username and the password. Here I am providing this. These are the four input parameters. Now the consumer has to, so the provider has to provide to the consumer. Provider to consumer. Okay, client ID, client secret, username, and the password. Now, here let me explain one more small point. Whenever you are trying to be connecting to this consumer provider through this username and the password, then it will be asking for you to provide the valid password. So here, even though if I'm giving the valid password, it won't allow. Why? Because it requires that the security token also. If you don't want to use the security token, just with the help of username and the password, if you want to connect to that the provider, then we have to enable the universal IP address in this profile set. For this particular user profile level, enable the universal IP address. Go to the universal IP address, login IP address, and the universal IP address. 0000 255 255 255 255. Okay, and the universal IP address here. Inside that, the provider's user. Whatever the username and the password that was applied for this user, we are enabling that universal IP address so that just by using the password itself, the consumer can able to connect. Suppose if the universal IP address is not configured, then we require password along with that security token also. This is the fundamental principle. Without the security token, if you want to connect to that third-party system, then we need to enable that universal IP address for this particular user's profile. Okay. Now, so now we are from the provider side, we are ready. Okay, we are done with this all these four steps. Provider has implemented that the web service, he has prepared a connected app, generated the client ID and the client secret, and then username and the password. Everything is ready. Now we are passing all these values to my consumer. Now the consumer has to prepare the request to connect to the authorization server, get that access token. Okay, now let's come to that consumer part. So now let's come to the consumer part. As part of this consumer, what we need to do? First of all, we have to add this provider's URL inside the remote site. Now, let me go to the consumer part. I'm into the consumer part right now. Let's go to that consumer. Go to that security controls. Go to the remote site settings. And that remote site. Click on new remote site. I'm indicating that OAuth username password provider. I'm pasting this. Now click on save. Now it is adding this URL. So from here we can able to connect to that provider also. Now, first one. Then come to that step. As of now, what we did, we are done with the step 2, we are done with the step 3 also, and we are done with that step 4 also, we are done with that step 5. Now come to that. In the consumer, what needs to be done? We have to prepare a visual force page. Through this visual force page, we can able to make a request in order to connect to that third-party system, and then we can able to get the access token, and then with that access token, we can able to. For this one, I would like to have this user interface like this. Gets understood as of now? Are any doubts or any confusions? Understood the steps? Nobody's responding.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Clear the steps as of now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now I would like to have the user interface like this. I'm designing a visual force page. I would like to have the visual force page like this. In this visual force page, I would like to provide a such a functionality because based on the case record ID, we can fetch the case information. So I would like to have a such a functionality. Enter the case record ID. I'm pasting one text box. I'm placing one text box over here. And then I'm placing one button control, get details. I'm pressing one button. So I would like to have the such a functionality. So now I'm having the case ID. I would like to have a text box. Here I'm placing some watermark also. Enter case record ID. Based on that case record ID, I would like to fetch the case information. So whatever the case details I have collected, that case details I want to show inside a separate page blank section. I would like to have a separate page blank section. In that one, I would like to display this information. Here's the details for, I would like to show the case number here. In this place, I want to show the case number. That means the case ID. Now, here I want to show the information. Here I would like to show the case information. The case ID. And then I would like to specify the case number. And then I would like to specify the type and the reason. And I would like to specify the status of the case, origin of the case subject, and the case description. Okay, case description. So these are the information I would like to propose. This is my requirement. I would like to design the user interface. So now, after entering some case record ID, when I click on this case details button, it has to collect that information. It has to invoke this. As soon as once you click on this get details button, now immediately it has to invoke the request. It has to collect the case details. Those case details it has to provide to me inside this particular page blank section. This is my requirement as part of this implementation. Now, so let me go with the implementation part. I'm going to this the consumer. Consumer is going to be having the user interface. So let me go with that consumer part. I'm going to the developer console. So let me go with that. So here's the details page. I need to enable this. Development mode I'm enabling right now because here is a separate account. Development mode is not yet enabled, so that I'm enabling the development mode. Apex, I'm creating one. Showcase the details page. This is a Firefox browser I'm using right now. That means it's a consumer. I'm designing the result first page. I'm designing the result first page. I'm giving the default properties. Setup equals to false. Header equals to false. Show header equals to true. Tab style equals to, I would like to use the solution object tab style. And then I'm in Apex section header, title, case, subtitle case details. I'm using the form tag. I'm using the page block. I'm giving the title property, case details block. I'm having the page block section. Page block section. I'm indicating the title, search case details. The number of columns equals to 2, and the collapsible equals to 4. And I'm placing the text box, input text, label equals to enter case record ID. I'm indicating the watermark HTML placeholder, enter case ID, enter. I'm using the button control, command button, value equals to get details. Now, to represent the result here, to represent the result, I would like to use another. To represent the result, I would like to use another page. So here I'm creating one more page block. Page block. Title equals to the case details. I'm indicating ID equals to G block to refresh this part. I'm indicating the page block section. Okay. I'm indicating the page block section. Here I'm preparing the page block section. Title equals to case details. Number of columns equals to 2. And then I would like to indicate the collapsible. Collapsible equals to false. I would like to have one more page block. Case description. Number of columns equals to 1. And the collapsible equals to false. I'm adding two sections. Here I would like to place apex output label. Here I'm indicating the case ID. Apex output label case number. Apex output label case status. Apex output label case REC. Apex output label case type. Apex output label case reason. And here I would like to display the description. Apex output label case subject. Apex output label case description. This whole information I want to show in the form of the bold format and indicate this. Let's see. So we are having this information. So I'm having a user interface where I'm going to providing the case ID inside this. After entering the case ID, when you click on this case details button, it has to connect to the third-party web service. It has to get the case details. and the case record information has to show. Now case ID should be in this place, case number in this place, case status, case origin, case type, and the case region. And then here I want to show the case subject and the case description. Now let me give just some different the tab style for this. Instead of using this, I would like to go with that. The separate object tab style. Position object tab style. I'm having the position object tab style inside this place. So now this is my consumer user interface is available. Now we are ready with the user interface. Now we need to implement the business logic behind this. Upon click on this get details, I need to invoke the business logic. I need to connect that access token. Based on the access token, I need to implement it. Now let's see what we can do. First of all, we have to authorize from the third party server. So now whatever the inputs are required, we know this input values. Based on this input, first of all, we have to make a request to that authorization server. Once the authorization server has been getting authorized, okay, once it has received that access token. Now let me go with this step first. Let me go with that authorization process first. That means this is the step 6. So let's make a request to that authorization server by making a request to the sender point and then collect the access token and then pass the access token. And then we'll go with the 7th step. Then how can we access the actual resource? Now, let me go with the step 6 first. That means, first of all, I want to make a request to the authorization server based on this authorization server's URL by passing the required input parameters such as granted type, client ID, client secret, username, and the password. And then get the response. And then pass the response and then get the access token value from it. Let me go with the practical part. So I'm going to this, I'm preparing the controller class. Controller, I'm going to be indicating the showcase the details controller. I'm creating a class. Showcase the details controller. I would like to implement the business logic inside this. I would like to implement the business logic inside this. So now I would like to write the business logic by using developer console because there will be getting the intelligence feature also. So we no need to remember the codes. Before that, inside this. So I'm going to be defining a variable inside this because whatever the case ID that you have entered, we need the case ID. For that one here, I'm going to be using this variable. Public string case record. I'm indicating UserName. So now inside this case record ID variable, I would like to store the ID of the case record which are. So I would like to map this variable. I would like to map this variable with my text box. You know these concepts, all these things you are aware of. So here I'm mapping this. Value equals to, we can specify. This is the case record ID. That means whatever the value we have entered inside my text box, please store this variable value inside my variable case record. And from there we can able to invoke that action equals to, I would like to write that. So I'm preparing this information. I'm preparing a method. Public get case ID. Okay. I would like to prepare a method. Public void get case ID. Here I'm copying this one. I'm placing this method. And once it is done, I would like to refresh this page again. So that I'm using the re-render equals to page. I want to refresh this. So up to this part is ready. Now I need to write the code in order to get the access token. In order to get the access token, I would like to write some piece of code. Let me go to the developer console. Let me open this code. Go to the classes. Showcase the details controller. I am going to be writing this business logic inside this. So here, first of all, in order to connect to that service, okay, we have to use that endpoint URL. Okay. So whatever the endpoint URLs are required, all these endpoint URLs we are having right now. I'm having the endpoint URL is also available with me, and then I'm having the client ID, client secret, username, password. All this information, if you want to hardcode, then you can hardcode, no problem. If you want to store inside that a database table, then you can store, no problem. Or if you want to store inside the custom labels, then you can store, no problem. Wherever you want, you can store. For example, let me create some custom labels. So I'm going to my Salesforce instance. Here I'm preparing the custom. Create custom. I'm creating a custom label. I'm indicating the OAuth access token in the file. So this is the parameter. This is the access token. I'm placing this. This is the OAuth access token in the file. Save this. Here is the custom label we have created. Next, second custom. Create a new custom label. OAuth client secret. Some consumer. Other client ID simply. OAuth client ID. What is the client ID that we have received? So this is the client ID. I'm pasting inside. Next, one more custom label. OAuth client secret. I'm copying this client secret. See. Now, I want one. OAuth user. I'm placing this user. I'm preparing this one. OAuth password. Password. See. Now, so whatever the input parameters are required, all the input parameters are stored inside the custom labels. Now, here we are going to be accessing this actual endpoint. This is the authorization server endpoint URL. So this is a separate URL, right? To connect to this URL, first of all, we have to add this URL inside the remote site. So I'm adding this URL also inside the remote site. Already have we added our remote site. OAuth authorization server endpoint. OAuth authorization server endpoint. Nonsense, because we are going to be connecting to this particular server. So we have prepared the custom labels right now. So all the custom labels are available with me. So now I need to prepare the endpoint. Prepare the endpoint. Go to your code. Now prepare the endpoint. String. Now I'm going to be collecting the endpoint URL over here. So I want to prepare that endpoint URL. For this one, I'm using this HTTP class, HTTP object equals to new HTTP. HTTP request request equals to new HTTP request. HTTP response equals to new HTTP response. Now, here what needs to be done here in this case first. First of all, we have to prepare the request. In that request, we have to specify the whole information. What is the request body? We have to prepare the request body inside this. Now, string request body. So what is the request body? Request body should be in a specific format. What is the format given by Salesforce? Request body should be in this format. They have given this request body. Granted type equals to password. So they have given clearly indication. So we have to follow in the same format. This is the format. Request body here. Granted type equals to password. Here I am indicating. Granted type equals to password. And after that, what we have client ID. Client ID equals to client ID equals to where is my client ID here? I'm having inside the system here. System dot label dot. What is my label name here? What is the label name that I have entered? But the client ID is the label. OAuth client ID plus ampersand. What is the next key? The next one is what? The client secret. The client secret. Where is my client secret? Client secret is available inside my custom. It is my custom. And then after that, what will this apply? And user. Username equals to that username is available inside my custom. System dot label dot here also system dot system dot label. What is my label name? Username. OAuth user. Here simply we can specify the plus symbols also directly. This is the client ID. And then client secret. And the username. And then I'm having that another parameter and password. So what is the password here for this one? OAuth password. Okay, password. So I have specified. And my request body is ready. So whatever the format given by Salesforce, in the same format we are going to be invoking the request. Granted type equals to password and client ID equals to the client ID over here. And then we are having the client secret system.label, username system.label here. And then we are having this the password system.label.OAuth. So now my request is ready, right? That means my request body is ready. We need to pass this request body to the request. But what is the endpoint URL? We need to collect the endpoint URL also. I'm indicating request dot set endpoint. So where is the endpoint URL is available? Endpoint URL is available inside the system label. Custom label. System dot label dot. What is the label name? Endpoint URL is available. That's just taking endpoint URL. Here is the endpoint URL. And then we need to specify the request dot set body. We want to specify set body. What is my body here? This is the body which I'm going to specify. Request to body. What is the method type? The method type is post. Request dot set the method type. Set. This is post. I'm going to post in this request right now. So I'm posting this request right now. My request will be sending to that the specific endpoint, and then I would like to post the request, and then I would like to get the response. So I'm preparing the object, the response object here. This is the response object. Now I would like to invoke this request. How can we invoke? Can invoke the request HTTP object dot send. So what is the request? This is the request here. So request I'm going to invoke. So we'll be getting the response over here. I'm storing the response inside this response object. Response equals to I'm storing this information. So once the response is available, whatever the response body is available, I want to show on my result. So that I will let you know whether the response is working properly or not. My request is working properly or not, I want to in response. I want to response is coming back up. I will let you know. Response string equals to response dot get. I would like to collect that response over here. That response is information I want to represent on my result first page so that I can see whether I'm able to get that response. So this is what the request we are initiating. Nothing but this is only for the first request. We are making a request to that authorization server, and then by passing the client type, client ID, client secret, username, and the password. We are making a request to the authorization server. We are getting the response. So now response is coming back or not, I would like to verify. So whatever the response body we are receiving, now I am going to be representing the response body on my result first page. So for that reason, I want to display. Here in my result first page, I want to show that information. I want to show this information. Response string I want to show. On my result first page, I want to show this. Here I'm indicating Apex output to video. Response is I'm indicating response system. I will like to get the response system. Whatever the response that I'm receiving, I will like to show the response on my result first page. Because whatever the access token is available, access token will not be able to represent on your debug log file. It will be throwing the exception message. Now, so let me go with this one first. First of all, let me click on this get details button. Once you click on the get details button, it is going to be calling this method, which is going to be collecting. Okay, which is going to be collecting. It is making a request to that the other operation server URL, which will be collecting the response file. Nothing but I would like to know whether that we are able to reject the actual access token. Now click on get details button. Now it is indicating that we are able to receive the access token also. As soon as once you click on the get details, I'm able to get the access token right now. Response is available. This is the access token parameter values available. So here we get the access token that we are receiving. Now I need to collect this access token in order to access the actual resource. Okay, so it is working fine properly. There is no issue. It is working fine. So we are able to receive the access token. Now I want to show the access token separately. For that one, I would like to pass the content. So let me pass this content over. Once access token is available, then I would like to pass. You know how to pass the content. While I'm clicking system dot JSON dot JSON parser like as access token parser. Here parser equals to system dot JSON dot create parser of response dot get body. So now whatever the response that I have received from that response, I can able to get that response from the body by using get body method. That response I'm going to be passing here by using JSON parser. Now, here I would like to verify this. So while JSON parser, that means a parser that next to token that equals to null. I would like to verify this one. If A parser dot get current token is equals to JSON token dot field name. And that too, if the field name is what is the response that you are receiving? If the field name is access token, this is the access token, this is the key. We have to use this key. And the A parser that get text is equals to access token. Then I would like to get that access token. A parser dot next to token, I would like to get the value. So I would like to get the value I want to store inside a variable I want to show. I'm defining a variable public string access token. I'm going to be indicating access token string. Access token string equals to a parser get text. I'm collecting the text value. Whatever the access token is available, access token I'm storing inside my access token string variable. So now I would like to collect this access token. I would like to display on the result page. So let me go with the result page. I'm loading this page so that the complete code will be available to me here. Now I'm having this access token string I want to show on my result page. So here I would like to show. Here I'm indicating the two break lines. I'm indicating append output label. Access token is I want to show. Access token string. Here I'm indicating the two break lines. That means I'm going to parsing this content. I'm parsing the content. I'm representing access token separately. Let me click on get details. I'm getting this back. Now this is the actual response we have received, but this complete response I don't have because it is having so many other values also. It is having the instance URL also, to which instance you are connecting right now, and then ID. This is having the district EPS, and then we have the login.salesforce.com. This is the URL here, and then this is the organization. This is the user who is going to be initiating this actual request. Token type is bearer token. Issued at, okay, that is the ID has been given by Salesforce. Here is the signature. And now here I want only the access token part. This is the access token part I want here. So that here I'm going to parsing this entire JSON string, and then I'm going to be collecting the access token. With this access token, we can able to make a request. So as of now, we are done with the first step. This part we are done. Just we have authorized right now here. Now we need to make a request to that actual resource. Clear up to this part? We have to prepare a request. Okay, by specifying the request body, specify that request body in the same format which has been given by the Salesforce documentation. Make a request to that authorization server, and then specify the request body in the form of a post, and then invoke the request by using http.send, get the response, and then pass the response, and then we can show another result page. Up to this part, 50% is over. Now, let me complete that remaining 50% right now. So once the response is available, then I need to make a request to the target system. There's nothing but to get the actual web service resource. Let's see how can we do this. So once the access token is available, then I would like to invoke that actual resource. Then I would like to invoke that actual resource. Now, I would like to make an actual resource right now. Then how can we invoke that actual resource? Now let's see practically. This entire code we can able to write inside a separate method also, no problem. Here also we can write. This is the code. And code to invoke the authorization server. get the access token. Now, the next one. Now the second step. Invoke the actual resource by using access token. Now this access token variable I would like to store inside my local variable. So here I am defining one local variable in access token. In this access token I would like to place this same information. Access token equals to a parser card request. In my local variable also I am going to be requesting. Now we need to make the request. Then to whom we need to make the request now? I need to make the request to the third party URL. What is the third party URL here? So this is the third party system. What is the URL of the third party system now? Now let's see. Go with that your web service. What exactly the web service that we have prepared? We have prepared a web service that is called as case manager service. This is the case service here. Okay, we need to invoke this. Now here I am preparing the code in order to invoke the actual resource. I am indicating string case service and the point to URL. I am indicating HTTP yes ap16.services/apex/rest/case service. And then we have to specify ID equals to. Okay. So here what we need to do, we need to collect that case record. So whatever the case record ID is available, I would like to collect the case record ID. The case record ID I want to place inside this. Now here I am going to verify this information. If the case record ID not equals to null and case record ID not equals to empty and access token value, the access token value not equals to, if the access token is available. If the access token is available, then only I will need to make a request. At that time, case ID value should not be null, case ID value should not be empty, and access token value should not be null. Then only I would like to make a request here. I am going to add this case record ID in this place. ID equals to, I am adding that case record. This is my independent URL. Case of service independent URL we have prepared right now. Or else here up to this part we can able to place inside your custom label also, no problem. We can able to specify. Now, after that, we are having the access token, we are having this independent URL, both is available. Now, let's straight forward, we can able to make a request to that the third party service right now. How to invoke that? Now let me explain. So now here in this case, make a request. Again, HTTP class. HTTP, okay, HTTP. I would like to specify HTTP is a case HTTP, for example. Case HTTP equals to new HTTP. And then here I'm preparing the HTTP request. HTTP request equals to now case request new HTTP request. Whenever we are going to making a request, we have to pass a parameters. Now specify the endpoint URL. Now we have to specify the endpoint URL. Now case request dot set endpoint. So what is the endpoint URL? This is the case service endpoint URL. And then after that, I would like to specify the case request set method. What is the method here? This method is a get method. It is a get method. And then case request set header. This is the most important part here. Here I am going to be indicating that I am going to be authorizing that particular service. So that authorization, I'm indicating that OAuth plus access token. So where is my access token variable? This is the access token parameter. Through access token here, I would like to authorize this one. This is my access token parameter is available. This is the OAuth, and then just we can give you a space, and then we can specify that OAuth authorization in country. And so after this, now what is the problem in this case?
The variable is inside the if condition.
No, this is within the condition only, right? So now here I'm placing inside the condition. If the case record ID is not null and then not empty and then access token is available, then I'm going to be preparing this with the request. And then here I'm passing the request parameters. And then I need to invoke that request. And then HTTP response. Case response equals to new HTTP response. Now invoke the request terminal. Case HTTP dot. I would like to send the request here. What is the request? Case request. Which will be returning the response to you? Case response. Case response. I'm going to be collecting this response information. Once the response information is getting available, so once the response information is getting available, I want to store the response information inside the string variable. I want to show on my result first. First of all, let me show you on the result first. Public string, the case response. I want to store this response on my result first, so that we can able to see whether we are able to see the response or not. Case response for we are able to get the response string or not. I want to show this result first. That means what here, as a step 2, I am going to be invoking the actual resource. This is my resource URL, where exactly the resource is available over here. And then I am going to be specifying this. This is the case, this is the request. In that one, I have specified the endpoint URL, and then method type is get. And the authorization is, this is the access token here, which I'm adding the access token to get that actual resource. I'm having the access token also. Now here I'm invoking the request, and then I can able to get the response. Whenever I'm getting the response, that response I'm storing inside a variable. I want to store this information inside my variable. This variable I want to show on my result first. Let me go to this page. Let me reload this page so that we will get that code back to my URL format. I want to show this response on my user first page. For my confirmation, whether it is working properly or not. Affects output label case responses I want to show. Case response. I'm giving the two data. Whenever we are doing the implementation, better to display that information on our result first page. If that is working properly or not. Based on that, we can able to pass. So let me pass one case record ID. I'm collecting one case record ID here. This is the actual server, resource server. Resource server. I'm collecting one case record ID over here. The power generation below is stated level. I'm tapping this. I'm going to the result first page and placing inside. Click on get details. Now we are able to get the information. It is indicating that this is the access token. We are able to get the case. Type is equals to the case. URL is also available. And then we are having the case record ID is also available. Case number is available. Origin is available. Status is available. Type is available. Reason is available. Subject of the case, the whole information we are able to fetch. That means it is working properly here. It is working fine. We are able to fetch all the details. There is no description is available. So description is not. But let it be. Leave it. No problem. No. So now here in this case, I would like to collect this information I want to fetch. So now I'm able to fetch the details over here. Case details I'm able to fetch. Now I need to pass this content down. Okay, let's pass this content. Again, we have to pass this content okay, by using the JSON parser class. See, 2 times we have to pass this content. Pass response. And represent. So in this case, system dot JSON parser case parser equals to system dot JSON dot create parser. I'm indicating the case response system. This is the case response. I'm collecting the case response and also passing this one. I would like to verify why case parser dot next to that equals to null. Then I'm going to be indicating that I want to collect this each and every information from that. So what parameters are available over here? I'm getting that ID parameter here. This is the ID parameter. Based on this keys only, we have to write the parsing code and then case number based on this. Now we'd like to verify if C parser dot get text equals to I'm indicating ID. I want to store this value. C parser dot next token, and then I would like to get that. To store all these values, I would like to define that variables inside the result percentage. Here's the details. I'm indicating public string. I'm indicating case record ID is already available with me, so that I would like to indicate the complete case ID. Case ID. Get it. Public string case status. Public string case number. Public string case type. Public string case reason. Public string and the case origin. Public string case subject. Public string case description. These are the parameters. These are the variables I want to represent on the result perspective. So I would like to collect this information. I want to pass the data. I want to store inside. The case ID equals to the parser. Next one. I would like to get this one. After that, if what is the next parameter that we have? Case number. Case number. If C parser dot get text is equals to case number. I want to collect this information. C parser dot next to it. Case number equals to C parser dot get text. Next, I would like to parse this remaining content also. So what is the next parameter that we have? REC. If it is equals to REC. I want to store this value inside my case REC. Next. Next one. What is this one status? If it is status, I would like to store. Case status. And then, what is the next one? Type. Case type equals to the variable. And next one. Reason. Reason. I'm storing this one inside the case. And then subject. Subject. Here's a subject. Description. And the here's a description. Here's a description. I'm collecting that information. I'm passing.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, can we use switch on statement instead of it?
Sorry.
Can we use switch on statement?
We can use the switch statement also, but in this case, what will happen will be executing only one block. You can't get all the information, but I want all the information, right?
Yeah, okay.
That's all. If I'm using the switch statement, only one block will be executed. But here I want all the blocks, all this information I want. That's what. We're writing separate instructions. Now,
Okay.
so once the data is available, now I want to represent this whole information on my user first page. So then how can we represent now? Let's load this page now. I want to represent it. So in these places, I would like to store that information. Let's display this information. Case ID. In this place, I want to show that. Case ID. Case number. I'm displaying in this place. What are the string variables you have defined? Case status. I'm displaying in this place. Case reason. I'm displaying in this place. Case type in this place. Case reason in this place. Case subject in this place. Case description in this place. Now I have added all these parameters in this location. Now this content I'm going to be commenting. I'm commenting up to this one. I'm commenting this information. Now my information is ready. Now I want to load a case record information. Let's take any of the case record, whatever we have. Take this case information, case subject details. Take any of the case record. It is having some case information. It is a case record ID. I'm copying this case. I'm pasting this ID inside my user interface. Now click on get details. It is calculating this information. Now the case ID is represented, case number, status value, origin, type, reason, and then case subject. Now, for example, I'm passing one more case information by collecting that from the case record. Take this case. I'm passing this case ID. User case ID. Click on get details. Now we are able to get this information. Repeated motor breakdown while shutting off the same information. Suppose if you want to test with another case, then you can test. Now I'm using this the case 1016. Now maintenance guidelines. So this is the case. Let me test this one. Enter the case number, get details. Now we can get that maintenance guidelines for generator. Like that, it depends upon your requirement. We can able to make a request and then we can able to get the response back also by using OAuth authentication. Okay. So this is the process we have to follow for that OAuth. So we have to make a request to that authorization server first, get the access token. Based on the access token, we have to get the actual access. This is the process we have to follow for the OAuth authentication. This is the process of integrations that we have to use. Okay. And so we'll give you one small example on that SOAP integration because in tomorrow, and with that one we'll be having some project sessions also. We'll be having the session tomorrow at the 11 o'clock. 11 to 1:30 we'll be having the session. Okay. So do the practice on this one today. Tomorrow I will use some SOAP for the methods how can be implemented SOAP. We'll see that practice. And I will give you one small use case on this one to implement the functionality. Train that one. I will be placing the use case document today inside your Google Drive, then try to implement that so that you will get some complete clarity on this.